long and illustrious history of the Irish Tarmac Rally Championship, the 2016 season has certainly been a watershed. The decision by the organisers to confine the series to R5 and S2000 cars provoked much debate. But after 6 exciting rounds, it's all come down to the wire at the Ace Signs Cork 20 International Rally. With over 100 cars set to tackle the final round of the Clonakilty Black Pudding Irish Tarmac Rally Championship, 4 drivers are in the hunt to take the title for the first time. Alistair Fisher, Keith Cronin, Sam Moffett and Josh Moffett. And they'll be pressed hard by the WRCs of Kevin Kelleher and Roy White in what promises to be a very exciting weekend's rallying here in Fermoy.
We've reached the day of reckoning in the Clonakilty Black Pudding Irish Tarmac Rally Championship. After this weekend, either the Fermanagh man Alistair Fisher, the Cork man Keith Cronin, or one of the Monaghan Moffett brothers could be crowned the Irish Tarmac Rally Champion 2016. However, before we commence this weekend's proceedings, let's take a look back at some of the rally action from throughout the year.
As usual, the action began in the west at the Corrib Oil Galway International Rally, where Gary Jennings took the overall win in his Subaru WRC. Keith Cronin finished 25 seconds behind in second, but claimed maximum points in the newly regulated series. Alistair Fisher was 16 seconds further back in third. Sam Moffett took fourth despite his spin on the penultimate stage. Early brake trouble saw younger brother Josh Moffett finish sixth overall. The championship moves south for round 2, the Quality Hotels West Cork Rally, where Donna Kelly became the first driver to win the event 3 years in a row. Second overall, and taking maximum points once again, was Keith Cronin. Alistair Fisher had been second in the R5 until he crashed out on stage 8. Sam Moffett secured second place points, just edging out his brother Josh, who finished 3.6 seconds further back in 5th overall. Round 3 saw the action move north to Belfast for the Discover Northern Ireland Circuit of Ireland Rally, where Craig Breen secured his second successive win in the event in his Citroën DS3 R5. Keith Cronin slid wide into a bank on the opening stage, and the resultant radiator damage forced the Corkman into his first retirement of the season. Alistair Fisher took full advantage of the situation, finishing third overall, but scoring maximum points for the championship. It was back down south for round 4, where Donna Kelly's Focus World Rally car took back-to-back wins at the Cartel.ie Killarney Rally of the Lakes. Second overall and maximum points went to Alistair Fisher, who moved into the lead of the championship, while title rival Keith Cronin had an unlucky event. He finished 13th overall after brake trouble caused him to start late, incurring a 19-minute road penalty. Round 5 proved to be an absorbing and pulsating event, as the dual Donegal International Rally ended in dramatic fashion when local driver Manus Kelly took the win. He edged out the former leader Keith Cronin's Citroën DS3 R5 by a mere half a second on the final stage. It was a troubled drive for Alistair Fisher before finally finishing 10th overall. Sam and Josh Moffett finished 3rd and 4th respectively, with Sam now joint leader of the series with Alistair Fisher. The championship moved just across the border to Derry for round 6. The John Mulholland Motors Ulster Rally, where Welshman Elfyn Evans secured the British Rally Championship with the overall win. Just 7.6 seconds behind in second was Alistair Fisher, who took maximum points and moved into the outright championship lead with 1 round to go. Keith Cronin had been second overall, but a forced gearbox change at final service cost him 1 minute and 50 seconds in time penalties, and he slipped to 5th. DGM Sports teammate Johnny Greer had his best result of the season, taking 3rd overall. Sam Moffett retired after another off-road moment, while Josh recovered from a mishap of his own to take 7th place. The Moffett brothers both had outside chances at the title, but going into the final round of the championship, it's essentially a shootout between Keith Cronin and Alistair Fisher.
How are you feeling this morning?
Oh, we're a little bit nervous, to be fair. It's a big event. It's been a long, hard year, so hopefully we can get settled in this morning, and get down to work.
It's 2 long days rallying, get through the first couple of stages and see where we are, and then see what pace we need to be at from there. But Alistair won't be hanging around, so we'll have to be at the same thing.
In the Modified Championship, it was a two-way tussle between the escorts of Davy Armstrong and Ross Marshall.
It's down to the wire for you as well this weekend.
It certainly is. There'll be a good battle between ourselves and Davy Armstrong today, so no, we're looking forward to the challenge.
How are you feeling about today's stages?
We're waiting driver, that's it. Whatever happens, happens.
Clerk of the course, Coleman Hegarty, and his team have selected some classic stages for the two-day event. Clare Duggan, Gorteen, Inch and Ballyknoe, each run twice.
Well, the competitors displayed a mixed bag of emotions when we spoke to them this morning. However, concentration will be the name of the game once they pass underneath this arch, which marks the first of 14 challenging stages here at the Ace Signs Cork 20 International Rally.
There was definitely a few early morning jitters as the crews gathered for the start of stage one. The weather was fine, but recent rainfall left the roads damp and mucky in places. First away were Alistair Fisher and Gordon Noble, who were second quickest by just half a second on the opener, before setting fastest time by 5 seconds to lead the rally after stage two. Marginally quickest out of the blocks, Keith Cronin and Mikie Galvin slipped to second after a more cautious second test, which is proving quite treacherous in places. A further 4 seconds back was the Fiesta WRC of Roy White and James O'Brien. The newly crowned national champions were happy to hold third place after a slippy opening loop. With grip levels so changeable, most crews were understandably cautious, and holding forth were Sam Moffett and Carl Atkinson. It was shaping up to be another epic battle between Sam and younger brother Josh, who was just 0.2 of a second behind in fifth, with navigator Jason McKenna.
6 right at the white post, 120. Don't cut 5 left into 5 right plus, 109. 5 right plus at the sign, 75. 5 left, and turn 5 right into 5 left plus, 151 down slow into 2 left.
Less than a second further back in sixth were Johnny Greer and Kirsty Riddock, who, like Manny, were relieved to get to the end of stage two in one piece. Stephen Wright and Arthur Kierans had a steady run through the opening loop to hold seventh in their Fiesta R5. Driving the second of only 2 WRCs in the event, Kevin Kelleher found it hard to get heat into the tyres of his McKinstry-run Subaru S14. He held 8th overall.
Go 180, middle overcrest, go past the sign, right overcrest to the pole, go 60, slowing, 1 right, 33 left, tightens to 5, at the gate.
Brendan Comiskey didn't know how he bent 2 rims on his Fiesta R5 and was just glad to finish the opening loop in 9th overall. Owen Murphy had been 9th, but mechanical trouble in the Skoda S2000 saw him slip down the order. After a good run in his Citroën R3 at the Cork 20 last year, Marion Evans was back in an R5 version this year. The Welshman's R5 debut had been going quite well until a puncture on stage 2. Worse was to come when he crashed out on the second run of Gorteen. Pauric Duffy had a few close calls of his own, but emerged from the opening loop in 10th place. In the R2 category, points leader Callum Devine led the way once again in his Opel Adam.
5 right minus over junction into a 4 left, tightens to 3, 40, tight 3 right, 100, here, 3 right over bump minus, watch the mud on this.
Such an important weekend for you, Callum, so was it a good start?
Yeah, we took it cautious enough. We kind of just says we'll find a wee pace and see what the rest of the boys are doing, but I think we're okay in the first one. That one there, a wee bit slippy, it's just hard to judge the grip, you know, but no, we're enjoying it, trying to keep it within comfort anyway.
Second in class was the Peugeot 208 R2 of Marty Gallagher.
Crest, 3 right, 40. Crest, 3 right, 40.
William Crichton had been second after stage 1, but he rolled a similar machine on stage 2. He later rejoined the event under Rally 2 rules. Defending class champions Ed Toomey and Sean Hassett had been 5th in class, but later retired their Clonakilty Black Pudding Fiesta or 2T with mechanical trouble. Turning from the international to the national section of the event now, and quickest out of the blocks was the Renault Clio of Tommy Doyle and Liam Moynihan, albeit by just half a second from the BMW 1M of Eugene Meegan and Sarah Whelan. Brian Brogan and David McGettigan were third after the opening loop and struggling for grip in their Escort Mark II. In the hunt for the overall modified title, Davy Armstrong and Marty McCarrick had their noses in front of rivals Ross Marshall and Dave Robson on the stages. But in terms of points, Marshall and Robson would clinch the title if it stayed like this. On the second run through the stages, Alistair Fisher lost out to Cronin by 5 seconds on stage 3. But worse was to come when he crashed his Fiesta out of the rally on stage 4, as we can see from Owen Murphy's in-car camera. Thankfully, the crew were unhurt, but it was a hugely disappointing end to their rally. Their rally may have been over, but the title bid was not, as Keith Cronin still needed to finish well to secure the championship. And with his closest rival out, he still had the Moffett brothers to keep him on his toes.
No, it's not nice to see that happen to anyone. You'd like the battle to the end, but look, the main rival is gone. There's another 2 guys biting at our heels, so we'll have to work it out here in service.
Not eligible for points in his Fiesta WRC, Roy White was now up to 2nd place, 17.5 seconds off Cronin. A further 7 seconds adrift in 3rd was the R5 Fiesta of Sam Moffett, who still had younger brother Josh breathing down his neck in his similar machine. The margin just 0.7 of a second after 4 stages. In the National Rally, Eugene Meegan got ahead of Tommy Doyle after stage 3. Doyle reckoned that on the drying roads, there was no way his Clio could match the power of Meegan's BMW. Brian Brogan was holding on to 3rd place, but the rush was on at service after some ominous rattling sounds were heard during the loop.
Obviously problems going on in the Brogan camp. Talk us through it.
Yeah, Duff have to change it up fair now, Brid, so we're happy enough now the boys get it fixed and we get back out and do this next loop again.
Local crew Donald O'Brien and Liam Brennan survived this off-road incident to hold 4th in the National. Scotsman Callum Devine endured a few spins of his own to hold 5th in his 2.5-litre Skoda Fabia. So, after Alistair Fisher's exit on stage 4, it's Keith Cronin who leads the Ace Signs Cork 20 International Rally, while Eugene Meegan leads the national section in his BMW.
So a dramatic turn of events on that last stage has seen our morning rally leader and one of the main championship contenders, Alistair Fisher, exit from the rally. A huge disappointment to him and his team. And although this may be of slight advantage to Keith Cronin, the pressure from behind certainly will not back off. See you after the break.
You're welcome back to Fermoy for the Ace Signs Cork 20 International Rally, the final round of the Clonakilty Black Pudding Irish Tarmac Rally Championship. There was a dramatic end to the 4 morning stages with the departure of former rally leader and title hopeful Alistair Fisher. And with his main rival gone, it was Keith Cronin who was leading from the front as the crews prepared to tackle the afternoon stages. The dilemma facing Cronin and navigator Mikie Galvin now was judging their pace. Not taking any unnecessary risks in their Citroën DS3 or 5, the pair still led the rally after 6 stages, but the lead had been cut from 17 seconds to 10. In his Fiesta R5, Sam Moffett set quickest time by 9 seconds on stage 5, climbing above Roy White into 2nd overall. White stalled his Fiesta World Rally car on that 5th stage, but the Clonmel driver made up for it on stage 6 with a joint quickest time with Josh Moffett. The younger of the Moffett brothers was now just 4.5 seconds further back and forth, but was lucky to be still in action after this big moment on stage 5.
Favourite through the crossroads, plus on it, only 74 left. 154. left, 154. Well done, 6 right, 100.
Johnny Greer had a similar moment at that location, but was holding firm in 5th overall. Stephen Wright suffered a setback with a puncture on stage 5, slipping to 7th overall before regaining a place on stage 6. Father and son crew, Joe and Richard Connolly, had been in the overall top 10 before dropping a few places in the slippy conditions. In the National Rally, Eugene Meegan was still setting the pace, leading by 25 seconds after stage 6. With a newly fitted differential in his Ford Escort, Brian Brogan climbed to 2nd in the National. After a few spins on the morning stages, Callum Duffy and Emmett Sherry climbed from 5th to 3rd after their first run through the afternoon stages. Former leader Tommy Doyle was now 4th as his Renault Clio lost out to the more powerful machinery on these faster, drier stages. Rally sponsor Neil Phelan had been 5th in class, but he slipped down the order as he and guest co-driver Philip Bourke got to grips with the stages.
It's enjoyable, you know. Phil here is a DJ from Red FM, and this is his first time sitting in a rally car, so it's a learning curve today, you know.
Well, your first time in the hot seat as co-driver, this has got to be a baptism of fire, Phil.
Absolutely. When you're in a road car and a rally car, it's two different extremes. It's a lot quicker, and obviously you've got to be quicker with the notes, and you cannot make a mistake.
You haven't regretted it so far?
No, I haven't. I'm enjoying it. I really am, actually. I haven't changed my underwear yet, so I'm good, you know.
Lee McIntyre switched from the passenger seat to driver's seat for the Cork 20 and was 5th in Class 13. In Class 17, Motorsport Ireland Sport Development Officer Art McCarrick was leading the way, was raising awareness about platelet donation for the Irish Blood Transfusion Service.
Fantastic to see you out in the driver's seat this weekend. It takes courage, and to also raise awareness for this cause. Why is it so close to your heart?
Well, I'm a platelet donor myself, one of only about 2,000 in Ireland at the moment. So they need about 22,000 platelet transfusions. So on 2,000 donors, that's quite a drain. I'm in every 29 days. But basically, platelets are the clotting agent in your blood. So people that are going through cancer treatment, premature babies, even burn victims, their body stops producing them or they have a lack of them. Not everyone has a surplus to give away. Fortunately enough, I do. And there's only 2 donation centres in Ireland, one in Dublin, one in Cork. So might sign up a few more people, and if they visit giveblood.ie and click on the platelet section, they can find out all they need to know.
Newly crowned historic champion Frank Cunningham had to fly back to the US at the last minute, so younger brother Ray stepped into the breach and was leading the class with Ross Ford on the notes. Trailing Cunningham by 30 seconds in another Mark II were James O'Mahony and Kerry Barry. Duncan Williams and Jonathan Carroll were 3rd in another Escort. The beautiful looking and sounding Porsche 911 of Brendan and JP McCarrick held 4th. Rounding out the top 5 historics was the Mark I Escort of Donal O'Connor and Iarla McCarthy.
A new small crest into dip, small crest here into dip, and one left long, and middle on small crest 100. All quick, middle on small crest 100.
To the final loop on day 1 now, and although Keith Cronin and Mikie Galvin still led the event, they weren't pushing too hard for fear of throwing it all away. Their lead was down to 8.5 seconds at the end of day 1.
A relief to have made it through day 1, Keith.
Yeah, it's been a tough day, probably even tougher since Alistair has gone, because I don't need to win anymore, so I'm just trying to balance the pace. The top 3 is what we need. But them 2 stages were a lot more comfortable, I think, with a better third choice, and I still felt very comfortable through the 2 of them.
Sam Moffett and Carl Atkinson were quickest by 1 second on stage 7 and 2nd quickest on 8 as they closed in on the rally leaders.
So Sam, putting the pressure on Roy White, and I think you've nabbed that 2nd place now.
Yeah, we're just content in what we're doing here. We have a good feeling in the car, and we'll push on accordingly. So, you know, we're close times with Keith there. I don't think any of us are doing anything silly, but yeah, it's a nice pace.
Roy White and James O'Brien finished the loop just 4.8 seconds adrift in 3rd.
Roy, a great day 1 for you.
Yeah, no, happy out. Sam took a bit of time off us on the last one, so don't know how we did there. So it looked like we might come in 3rd, and we'll go again tomorrow.
Just 1 second back and forth with Josh Moffett and Jason McKenna. It really was a fantastic fight at the front with just 14 seconds between the top 4. Just slightly off the pace of the frontrunners, Johnny Greer and Kirsty Riddoch were nonetheless happy to get to the end of day one in 5th place. In 6th were Stephen Wright and Arthur Kierans, who went for an extreme close-up with a GoPro on stage 7. 7th overall was a decent showing for Kevin Kelleher and Ray Fitzpatrick on their debut drive in the Subaru S14 WRC.
One right, go 40, slow, caution, 3 left, slow, drop outside, 80. Long 1 left, slowing into 2 right. Only 30, nearly stop, 6 left. Long 1 left, and then slowing into 2 right, only 30, nearly stop, 6 left. Whoa, whoa, whoa. 6 left at the gate. 40.
Brendan Comiskey and Ronan O'Kane were 8th when they overshot at this junction on stage 7. Luckily, the gate was open, and they only lost about 20 seconds. Pauric Duffy and Patrick Brides finished the day in 9th overall. Rounding out the international top 10 was the Peugeot 208 R2 of Marty Gallagher and Dean O'Sullivan, who overtook Callum Devine and Keith Moriarty's Opel Adam R2 across the afternoon stages. There was disappointment for Owen Murphy and Anthony Nestor when they were forced to retire with low oil pressure in their Skoda Fabia S2000. Eugene Meegan almost ended up in the same field as Brendan Comiskey on stage 7. He and Sarah Whelan still held the national lead, but had grave concerns over an ailing clutch in their BMW.
Well, finishing day one of the Cork 20 where you wanted, Eugene.
Yeah, we had to nurse it through the last 2 stages there. The clutch is big time on its way out. It's vibrating and everything, so we're just glad to be here. Hopefully now we can get a change for the morning and have another go at it tomorrow.
With their escort and song after the diff change, Brian Brogan and Damien McGettigan were 20 seconds off the national lead at the end of day 1. Punching above his weight to hold 3rd in the national was Tommy Doyle, with Liam Moynihan calling the notes in the Renault Clio. So, at the end of day 1 of the A-Science Cork 20 International Rally, it's Keith Cronin and Mikie Galvin who lead an intense battle for overall honours, while Eugene Meegan and Sarah Whelan top the national rally.
Day 1 of the competition here at the Cork 20 International Rally is complete, and it's the Cork man Keith Cronin who remains at that top spot. But the competition is fierce and will continue on day 2.
Welcome to day 2 of the A-Science Cork 20 International Rally here in the picturesque town of Fermoy and surrounding countryside. The setting for the final showdown of the 2016 Clonakilty Black Pudding Irish Tarmac Rally Championship. There was major drama on day 1 when one of the 4 title contenders, Alistair Fisher, crashed his Fiesta R5 out on stage 4. With his main rival out, Keith Cronin kept us cool in the Citroën DS3 R5 to close out the day with an 8-second lead over the Fiesta R5 of Sam Moffett. Sam had chipped away at Cronin's lead over the afternoon stages and still had a good chance of claiming the title should Cronin falter. In 3rd overall was Roy White, who was ineligible for points in his Fiesta WRC. That meant that Josh Moffett in 4th could still have a shot at taking the championship should the top 2 encounter problems. In the national rally, Eugene Meegan and Sarah Whelan had been on top in his BMW 1M, but clutch trouble on the final loop on day 1 proved terminal, and they never made it out for day 2. As a result, Brian Brogan and Damien McGettigan inherited the lead in their Mark II Escort, while 3rd was the Renault Clio of Tommy Doyle and Liam Moynihan. In the hunt for the modified title, Davy Armstrong was leading Ross Marshall on the stages, but with the Scot just 1 registered place behind Armstrong, Marshall would clinch the championship. The format for day 2 changed to 2 loops of 3 stages, namely Badgers Hill, Chimney Field and Mullantara, all skirting the foothills of the Nagels Mountains west of Fermoy.
Welcome back to day 2 of the Ace Signs Cork 20 International Rally. We're out here on stage 1, Badgers Hill, and on our journey up here a thick fog had descended. However, that has now burnt off and the conditions for day 2 appear to be somewhat promising at this time.
The beautiful sunshine made things a lot easier for everyone, especially the drivers. And with dry roads and fast-flowing stages, the pace increased accordingly. Josh Moffat's charge continued as he set 2 fastest times on the opening loop of 3 stages to move into the lead of the rally with navigator Jason McKenna.
6 left over small crest, 180. Stay mid over small crest, 120. 6 right, half long, okay, 100. 5 left, plus 80 down to a chicane.
Keith Cronin and Mikie Galvin were determined to box clever and not get caught up in a dogfight for the win. 3rd or better would secure the Tarmac title, and they were nicely poised in 2nd place. Roy White was definitely in it to win it, as his WRC Spec Fiesta was ineligible for points in this R5 Spec Championship. He and James O'Brien were fastest on stage 10, but still held 3rd overall at the end of the loop. Sam Moffett was caught napping on the opening 2 stages and slipped from 2nd to 4th. He woke up on stage 11, a mere 1 second slower than younger brother Josh. There was now just 5.9 seconds between the top 4 crews in this enthralling final round showdown. A further 35 seconds back in 5th was the Citroën DS3R5 of Johnny Greer and Kirsty Riddock, who felt they were getting better times when they weren't trying so hard. Stephen Rice was another minute and 15 seconds behind in 6th and felt the short ratio gearbox in his Fiesta R5 was costing him time on the many flat straights of this Cork 20 rally. Kevin Kelleher in 7th lost some time on stage 11 when grease leaked into his Impreza's turbo, causing the car to fill with smoke. 8th place Brendan Comiskey wasn't happy with the suspension settings in his Fiesta on the opening loop. Pauric Duffy in 9th took a few seconds off Comiskey and shed a few pounds from his Fiesta on the morning loop. Pauric commutes back from Australia to contest as many rounds as he can, and told Brid what it is about the championship that keeps him coming back for more.
Well, it's the final round of the Tarmac Championship, and what a year it's been, Pauric.
Yeah, look, we're definitely going to do it next year with the excitement of it this year, and the pace is just unbelievable. Like, you know, going into that last stage, I think there was 2 seconds between the top 3 cars. Like, I don't care who you are, that's WRC stuff all day long. These cars have been used all over the world, setups are getting better, tyres are getting better, and everybody's aware of it. Whereas if you're in 10 different makes and models of cars, well, everybody's on their own. It takes them years to develop a setup. Whereas now we can advance to what we want straight away, and everybody's on the same. Very, very level, very even, and very, very good to watch.
It certainly has been one of the most exciting and fiercely contested championships in decades. And with just 3 more stages to go, nerves are clearly evident at the final service halt.
Yeah, three to go. It's been a tough enough 3 stages, just trying to manage myself. It's getting harder stage by stage. Just trying to find a rhythm. We're doing okay. We've had no mistakes, very cautious, everything's okay.
This is such a tight battle going into the final loop here in Cork, just 5 seconds separating the top 4.
Yeah, it's great competition. I think that's what's made the R5 such a good move for the championship this year. So yeah, it's really good, and it makes it very interesting.
Well, what a finale to this championship. We're looking forward to a really exciting final 3 stages.
Yeah, I think the championship's out the window. Josh is beating us now, so yeah. Yeah, we were kind of caught sleeping in the first 2 there. Good enough push in the last one. So, yeah, we're going to put a big push on the last 3 here and see what happens.
This is exciting, and the win could be anyone's here.
Yeah, no, everybody went on a big push this morning. I think now heading into the last loop, there's only 4 odd seconds separating the top 4 cars, so it's going to be good. We're going to put on new rubber and we're going to have a big charge now and see if we can take the win.
In the hunt for 2-wheel drive honours, Marty Gallagher still leads in his Peugeot 208 R2. But second in class would be more than enough to take the overall 2-wheel drive title for Callum Devine. In the National Rally, Brian Brogan set some scorching times to reinforce his leading position. While his Clio lacked in power, Tommy Doyle was trying to make up for in aggression, and the Longford man had a lucky escape on stage 10.
Well, Tommy, obviously it has been a challenging morning for you.
Yeah, it was a tough enough morning. The first stage was fine, and then the second stage we just climbed the bank, and then we went across the road then and went up on my side as well. But for the rest of the stage we had a lot of muck in the wheels, so the bad vibration.
Callum Duffy's steady approach saw him move up to third in the National. Hydraulic gear linkage problems in his Mark II Escort saw Phil Collins struggle to break into the top 5 national leaderboard on day 1. The Welshman reverted to conventional gear change and climbed to 4th after stage 11. Colin Byrne and Brian Quinlan struggled to find a good pace on the opening day of the Cork 20, but were in the groove now and holding 5th on their home stages. Fellow Cork crew Donal O'Brien and Liam Brennan had been up to 3rd in the National, but retired with clutch problems on stage 10. After stage 9, the advantage switched to Davy Armstrong in the quest for the overall modified title, as his main rival Ross Marshall fell 2 places behind him. Marshall gained a place on the following stage to retake the initiative. Day 2 saw the introduction of the junior contingent, and quickest after 3 stages was the Honda Civic of Cork's Shaney McGrath and Ger Clancy. Fellow Corkonians Fergus Hurley and Eric Dean were just 2 seconds adrift in their Mark II Escort. More locals, Kevin and Stephen Horgan, were 3rd in class, which would be enough to secure the overall junior title. His main rivals, Justin Ryan and Noel Murphy, were behind them on the timesheets. So, with just 3 stages left of the season, it's too close to call at the top of the overall leaderboard, while Brian Brogan has a healthy lead in the national section.
Well, the excitement is mounting here in the service park in Fermoy. The drivers are prepared to leave service and tackle those final 3 stages in the championship. And if the Cork man, Keith Cronin, along with co-driver Mikie Galvin, can remain within the top 3 after these stages, they will be crowned 2016 Irish Tarmac champions.
Welcome back to Fermoy for the conclusion of the Ace Science Cork 20 International Rally, the final round of the Clonakilty Black Pudding Irish Tarmac Rally Championship. Throughout the season, there's been no let-up in the intensity of competition, and with just 3 stages remaining, the battle was as hot as ever. Rally leader Josh Moffett set fastest time on stage 12 to increase his lead to 5 seconds flat.
5 right, 80, 5 left, 40, 3 left, narrow down here, 40, 4 right plus, and 5 left, and 5 right plus, 124, 6 right.
Roy White went quickest on stage 13 to reduce the deficit to just 3.5 seconds going into the final stage. 1/10 of a second slower than White on stage 13. Sam Moffett was now just 1 second behind in 3rd. There was no doubt that this battle would go down to the wire. Keith Cronin had been driving within himself, taking no risks and holding 2nd overall. But disaster struck on stage 12 when he punctured a tyre on a Citroën DS3 R5 and slipped to 4th. He knew 3rd would guarantee the title, but with 1 stage to go, could he gain a place, or would 4th be good enough? Before we find out, let's turn to some of the other classes now, and taking the Class 3 win and finishing 12th overall in the Renault Clio Super 1600 were Kevin Dolphin and Martin O'Brien. Roland Doherty and Sinead O'Donovan won Class 9 in their Opel Corsa. Victor and Susan Beamish won Class 10 in their Vauxhall Nova. In Class 11F, Paul Brown took the runner-up spot as he prepares to take over the reins as clerk of the course for next year's event. Having clattered a chicane bale early on, Jason Ryan and Finbar Kirk took the Class 11F win in their battle-scarred Civic. Winners of Class 11R were local crew Alan Tracy and Bob Fitzgerald in the Toyota Corolla. In Class 17, Nick Barnett survived this run-in with a ditch on stage 5 to claim third in class. Local crew Barry Archer and Anthony Cronin took the runner-up spot in their older model Honda Civic. Taking the Class 17 win, despite this early spin, were Cork-based Polish duo Lukas Zabnik and Piotr Zadowski in the Peugeot 206. But ably filling his brother Frank's shoes to win the historic class in the Mark II Escort was Ray Cunningham with navigator Ross Ford.
Did you surprise yourself with this result, Ray?
I did, actually. I was supposed to be a mechanic in this weekend. Come down, I ended up with champagne for a historic win. Brilliant weekend. Brilliant rally. I mean, it went off, for us, it went off a treat.
In the junior class, Kevin and Stephen Horgan secured the junior championship with third in class on their home rally. Fergus Hurley and Eric Dean had to settle for the runner-up spot in their Mark II Escort. A strong finish in the Peugeot 106 saw Eric Calnan and Aileen Kelly win the junior class by just 1.4 seconds in the end.
We were 12.2, I think, off Fergus going into the last stage, and we didn't really say anything to each other, but we both knew what was on our mind. We both said we'd just chance it and put a bit of push on and came out the better, so we were happy out.
Well, all your work and determination, commitment and consistency throughout the year has paid off.
Yeah, absolutely delighted, so big thanks to the man alongside me here, and Ian Shadrick and Tony and Isabella for running the car, and thanks to Bernard Foley as well, so absolutely delighted.
To the overall modified championship now, and staying just one registered place behind Davy Armstrong was enough to clinch the title for Ross Marshall and Dave Robson from Scotland. It was a valiant effort by Armstrong and navigator Martin McCarrick, who finished 9th in the national section, but who just missed out on the modified title by a single point. Kerry Crew, Aidan Buckley and Alan O'Doherty finished 8th in the national and 2nd in Class 13.
6 right and left on flat crest, 100. 170, flat crest. 80, long 6 right over crest at the end here. Long 6 right over crest here. It's 80, yeah. 6 left, only chicane. Right entry, 3 miles.
Late-breaking Tipperary man Andrew Fanning won Class 20 and finished 7th in the national, with Derek Gibbs calling the notes in the Ford Fiesta. Another crowd-pleasing crew were Mark Dolphin and Colin Fitzgerald, who finished 2nd in Class 14 and 6th in the national on their home rally. Welshman Phil Collins had been 5th, but his Escort finally called it a day on the very last stage. Finishing 5th in the national and winning Class 13 after a late surge in their Escort were Barry McKenna and Leon Jordan. More late bloomers in a Mark II were Martin Doherty and Raymond Scott, who won Class 14 and finished 4th in the national. Scottish driver Callum Duffy took 3rd place, with Monaghan's Emmett Sherry navigating in the 2.5-litre Skoda Fabia. Tommy Doyle's 2-litre Clio took the runners-up spot, with Liam Moynihan on the pace notes. But taking a convincing win in the national rally were Donegal men Brian Brogan and Damien McGettigan.
That was as good a day as we had for a long time today, and I knew it was coming from the recce that them stages would have suited us better, because it was what that car needed. And yesterday we got through, we done what we had to do, and to get where we were, and we knew that to finish first we had to be there at the finish.
Back to the international rally now, and excitement was building, but it proved a disappointing finish for Marty Gallagher, who passed the stricken Fiesta of Pauric Duffy on stage 13.
And 4 right carry, 80. Long 4 right 40.
Before he himself retired from a class-winning 10th overall on the very last stage. Callum Devine and Keith Moriarty won Class 2 and finished 10th overall, securing the two-wheel drive title after a fantastic season in the Opel Adam R2.
You had to keep your cool in relation to the battle with Marty Gallagher, and the work paid off this weekend.
Yeah, over the moon. We just we knew all weekend, you know, we had to just stay on it and keep up with Murray and keep the concentration. We moved in front coming onto the last stage, and unfortunately on the last stage was probably going to be nip and tuck between us. He didn't finish, that's just bad luck.
Joe and Richard Connolly finished strongly to take 9th overall in their Fiesta or 5. One place ahead in their similar machine were Brendan Comiskey and Ronan O'Kane. Kevin Kelleher and Ray Fitzpatrick brought their Subaru S12 WRC home in 7th overall. Monaghan crew Stephen Wright and Arthur Cairns secured 6th overall in their Fiesta or 5. Johnny Greer and Kirsty Riddock finished 5th in their Citroën DS3 or 5. Failing to regain a potentially vital place in the final stage, Keith Cronin and Mikie Galvin would have a nervous wait to find out if 4th overall was enough to secure the Tarmac title for the pair for the very first time. One of the tightest finishes to a rally and season in years, Roy White and James O'Brien were squeezed down to 3rd overall in their Fiesta WRC by a resurgent Sam Moffett and Carl Atkinson in the Fiesta or 5. They set fastest time on the final stage, but it wasn't enough to reel in Josh Moffett and Jason McKenna in the second Combi Lift Fiesta. The Monaghan crew had a hair-raising moment on the final stage, as can be seen from their in-car camera.
3 left. Oh. 3 left on 5 right. 3 left here on 5 right. 100. 6 right.
As we awaited the outcome of this nail-biting finale to the season, Brid spoke with Championship Chairman David Gray at the end of stage 14.
Well, David, here we are on the final stage of 2016, and at this stage we have no clue who is going to finish on top. It just goes to show what an exciting championship this has been.
Absolutely. I suppose whenever we started off in Galway, we had a good idea it would be a great championship. Now we're here at the final round. It has been an absolutely fabulous championship. Everybody said it would go to the wire here, but I didn't expect that I'd have to wait till the cars actually pass me here to know who the champion is.
Nervous chatter and mooted applause greeted Keith Cronin and Mikie Galvin as they emerged from the stage to await their championship fate.
Well, here we are at the final stage of the 2016 season, and we're having the times confirmed for these top 4 cars arriving at the time control before we can confirm who is the 2016 Tarmac champion.
First thing to get confirmed was Josh Moffett's rally-winning time.
Congratulations, Josh. I can see the delight in your eyes. And what a finale for this championship.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I mean, like, we knew there was a big push we had to do in going into that stage, and I'd say we were only a mile or 2 into the stage and we were completely off the road. Like, Jason was bracing for a big accident and everything, and you can see the back of the car, we were deep into a ditch, but yeah, we got through it and we pushed as hard as we could. So happy, like.
Almost immediately it was confirmed that Keith Cronin's 4th overall was enough to secure the Tarmac Championship for himself and navigator Mikie Galvin.
Well, Keith, we didn't think that the finale of this championship could get any more exciting. What a nail-biting finish.
Yeah, it's been a tough few stages. First one out of service, we picked up a puncher towards the end. Don't know where, it was a slow puncher. We were staying in the middle of the road. It must have been a rock pulled out by one of the first guys through. But look, we got a change, we got here. It's like a sense of relief coming over the last stage, but it's good to have won the championship.
Mikie, how did you feel on that last loop?
That stage might as well have been 100 kilometres, but yeah, it's brilliant to be here. I think it'll take a little while to set in though, maybe tonight.
There was a hero's welcome for the pair back at Rally HQ, and while the crowd showed their appreciation to the new champions, Brid spoke to the outgoing clerk of the course, Coleman Hegarty, about this fitting end to a fantastic season.
It was nail-biting right to the finish, to the last mile of the last stage is what we love as organisers for the competition to be. It's great for the competitors to get such tight competition. It's great for spectators. It's great for us as organisers, and it's a total win situation. So we're absolutely delighted with it.
So congratulations to the podium finishers here at the Ace Science Cork 20 International Rally. And while the day belonged to outright winners Josh Moffett and Jason McKenna. It was Keith Cronin and Mikie Galvin's year as they won the 2016 Clonakilty Black Pudding Irish Tarmac Rally Championship by a margin of 3 points in the end.
Well, it's the Cork man Keith Cronin accompanied by co-driver Mikie Galvin who take the win in the Irish Tarmac Championship. It was a fantastic finale, and if that's anything to go by, next year, 2017, we're going to see some stiff competition. It's going to be so exciting. That's it for 2016 in the Clonakilty Black Pudding Irish Tarmac Championship. See you next year.